I'm Kat, and today I have printed out my manuscript. What? That wasn't as cool as I thought it was gonna be. I do most of my editing, revising on the computer, but I do think it is very important to, at least at some point in the process, print it out and take a look at it in like paper. I mean, ideally, presumably, if you are like editing and revising for possible publication, your book will someday be in print. So it is important to see what it looks like in print, not just on the screen. This is my manuscript. 175 pages, 55,000 words, a nifty font on the front, storyteller. Working title. Now, one thing that I recommend before printing it out is changing the font. You can get really used to seeing it a certain way, and you know the story pretty well in your head, and so you know what sentences are supposed to say, and you might kind of gloss over it if you've skipped a word or used the wrong word that is not a misspelled word but just like not the right word for that sentence. So I changed my font from what I was used to when I was typing it up. I changed the font size from 12 to 13, just a little change there, and then I printed it out and stapled the individual chapters. That's all I've done so far, but I thought I would share like my tips and plans and strategies for what I'm now going to do with this giant stack of papers. If you do not already have an outline, make one. If you outline first, great! That is fantastic! We're on the same page, bro! If you're a crazy pantser, then we're not on the same page exactly, but you can still make an outline. You know, just because you wrote it without an outline doesn't mean that you can't finish the draft and then look back and kind of create an outline of what you have and what maybe you need to change. An outline is not something that you use only when you're getting ready to write the story. An outline is just like a evolving and changing map of your story. It's not a hard and fast, you gotta do this way exactly or else you will go to jail kind of thing. Whenever you create your outline, it can still always change and evolve with the story. It's not like once you do an outline, you're stuck with that outline forever, no changing it. You're not trying to write the story just one way, you are trying to write the story in the best way. And that best way might take some time to uncover. So make an outline if you haven't already and go through your story and make sure that each chapter stays on track with the outline, that each chapter does what it is supposed to do. And after you've gone through and kind of made sure everything flows properly is when you want to start adding the notes. Add notes. Tons of notes. Your pages are going to be covered in notes, or at least mine are. For example, in chapter 9, you introduce a new character. Maybe where you introduce that character, make some notes about them, or on the very back page, like here's chapter 1, on the back of the page, make a list of all the characters that are introduced in chapter 1. Make a list of all the settings that are used in chapter 1. And so you have this little stapled thing of chapter 1 with all of your chapter 1 information on it. And this is very important, but don't forget to use colors. Colors are the best. If you want a really in-depth look of how your story is really broken down on a certain page or in a certain part of your story, then highlight everything. Like green for dialogue, and just all the dialogue on a page, highlight it with green. Use blue. This is not a highlighter, but I couldn't find my highlighter, so work with me. Use blue for description. All the description on a page, highlight it with blue. Yellow for exposition. Pink for action. Anything that is actiony gets highlighted in pink. And orange for info dumping, backstory, that kind of thing. Orange and yellow are kind of similar. You might not even have to divide them. You might be able to use just one color for both. And again, it doesn't have to be orange and yellow exactly, all these colors exactly. These are just what I'm probably going to do if I remember this same thing at the time when I actually bust out the highlighters. Highlight an entire page and just see how it looks. If you have a big block of like orange backstory, you might want to break that up a little bit. Sprinkle it in different places around. Break that block of orange up. Same thing for any other thing. Like if you have a block that is just dialogue, 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 nothing else, you might want to break it up with some action or just some exposition, some other stuff in there. Internal monologue, that could be another one. You can make up whatever color code you wish. Another awesome benefit of like printing out your manuscript and dividing it into these chapters that you can like lay out all over your kitchen floor and just spread out and look at. It's like a big puzzle, and if you can lay all the chapters out, you can make more connections that maybe you didn't see before. And you can also include like subtle clues early on for things that happen later. Like now that you've written the story and you know about this big shocking plot twist that happens at the end, you can go back and sprinkle in tiny subtle little things that lead up to the big plot twist at the end. And it'll make your story cooler. And my final tip for this whole revising and working on your notes with actual paper printout is to take your time. You are not going to be able to revise and make notes for the entire story in a single sitting. You are crazy. You are insane, and it's not going to be your best work by the end of that if you try to do this. Trust me, I've tried. It was terrible. You start off with like chapter 1 all fresh and ready and exciting, and you write really detailed notes for like chapter 1 and maybe the first couple of chapters, but then it just starts to go downhill rapidly. And then by chapter 4 you're like, this character is introduced, he's a guy, moving on, next chapter. If you try to do too much at once, you will get tired and your brain will get fried, and then just the quality of your work will really start degrading at a terrible rate. And you'll start getting lazy with your notes, and you don't want that. You want it to be your best work. Like, you're not doing this just to hurry up and get it done. You're doing this to make your story better and to improve the quality of it. So take your time with it, don't rush it. Depending on how long your chapters are, maybe do like 3 to 5 a day, but don't try to do them all at once or all in one sitting. Like, take breaks in between. The point of revising is not to hurry up and get it done, it's to polish and improve the quality of the story and to make it something awesome and wonderful. So don't rush it. Revising is a long, long process, and if you take a couple weeks just working out the notes, that is okay. Revising takes a lot of time, and you want your story to be the best. If you kind of cut corners early on, then you're gonna end up having to face them sooner or later. Like, it's not just gonna go away. If you skimp on character development early on, it's not just gonna be okay in the end. You're still gonna have to do that character development. It's just going to be later on, and it might be even rougher because it might be after you've already polished other stuff and you have to go back and it's a big thing, and it's just take your time and do it right the first time. Anyway, that is my advice for printing out and making revision notes on your actual printed manuscript. And this is mine. There are no notes on it yet, and having it in the frame with me is upsetting my white balance. Hey, manuscript. I have 27 chapters in mine. I use my 27 chapter outline. It's a thing. Look into my channel if you want information on my outline. It's there. I divide these 27 chapters into 9 blocks of 3 chapters. So I'm going to try to do 1 block a day for 9 days and kind of hopefully have it done by the end of December. And then in January, I'll have my notes, and I'll be like way ready to jump into the actual nitty-gritty revision process. Rah. Okay, that is everything I have for you today. I hope you guys have a lovely night, and I'll have another video up in a couple of days. Goodbye!